Hi, welcome back to the module functions. In the previous video, we discussed about the different types of functions. I have simplified it. So function types are classified into two categories, that is without arguments and with arguments. And in without arguments, we will have the return value and without return value. Similarly, with arguments, we will have the return value and without return value. Let's start with the first type of function. First type of function is function without parameters and without return value. Imagine this is a main function and this is a one user defined function. So here main function is not passing any value to the user defined function, as well as user defined function is not returning any value to the main. Let me demonstrate how to implement this concept in the program. You can see here I have considered one simple example of addition of two numbers. Now let's implement the concept of functions. We have to write one function to calculate the sum of two numbers. So here are the steps. First we should declare the function. In function declaration, first we should mention the return type. As this function is not returning any value, I am writing void. Then we have to write the function name, and then in the bracket we should mention the arguments, but here we are not sending value, that's why the list is empty, followed by semicolon. So this is function declaration. Now let's consider the second step. The second step is function definition. Function definition is the actual code what the function will do. When we are defining the function, again we should mention the return type. As this function is not returning any value, I am mentioning void. Then the name of the function, and then the parameter list. As this function is not receiving any values from the main, that's why the brackets are empty. Now we should write the actual code here. Here we are adding two numbers. Initialize the value at the time of declaration. So I am initializing two values. Now write sum equals to a plus b. Then I am using printf statement to print the result. Addition equals to %d, comma, the name of the variable, followed by semicolon. Every statement in C should end with the semicolon. Now it's the time of third step. We have to call this function from the main, because always the execution starts from main. So the control will come to the main, and whatever statements you will write in the main, it will get executed. If you want to execute this user defined function, we should call from main. So the syntax to call the user defined function is to mention the name of the user defined function, followed by the parameters list, that is empty. Save the file. Click on build and run. You can see we are getting the same output. We have implemented the concept of user defined function, but here neither we are passing value to the function nor we are taking back any value from the user defined function. Hope you understood this topic. Try to practice it. Let's continue the discussion of types of function. In this video I will be covering one more type, that is function without argument and with return value. In this type we are not sending any values to the user defined function from main, but the user defined function will return back the value to the main. Let's implement this concept in the program. We are going to consider the same program, addition of two numbers. So according to the first step, we should declare the function. As it is going to return a value, so I am mentioning the data type of the return value, that is of integer type. If the function will return float, you should mention float. Similarly for character. Then the name of the function, followed by the list of arguments. Here we are not passing any value to the function, that's why I am not mentioning anything here. This is function declaration. Now according to the second step, we should define the function. As we know, function definition is the actual code. Again we should mention the return data type, followed by the name of the function and the parameter list. As we are not sending any values from main, the list is empty. Let's write the actual code. As we are not sending any value to the user defined function, we should take our own values here. So I am taking a is equals to 10, b is equals to 20, and one more variable I am declaring to calculate the sum. So let's add it. Sum equals to a plus b After calculating, I am not going to print the result in the user defined function. I am going to send this calculated value to the main function. So for that I am using return statement. The syntax of return statement is, first we have to write the keyword return, and then in the bracket we have to write the name of the variable which we are returning. So here we are returning the sum, that's why I am writing sum followed by semicolon. So what is the use of return statement? Return statement will terminate the execution of the function and will transfer the control back to the calling function. So here main is the calling function and funAdd is a user defined function which is the call functions. As user defined function is sending some value to the main function, we should also receive that value in some variable, should be of same data type. So I am going to declare one local variable integer result, and I am going to receive the value which we are accepting from this function. So let's call this function. So whichever value this function will return, it will get stored in the result variable. Now we will print the result using printf statement. You can see here this a, b and some variable are defined within the block of user defined functions. That's why they are local to this user defined functions which we cannot access in main. That's why I have declared one more local variable here, result, to store the value which is sent by user defined function. So save the file and click on build and run to check the output. You can see here we are getting the same output. In this way we have implemented one more type of function in the program. In the next video I will be covering the third type of function. Let's have a look at third type of function, that is function with parameters and without return value. In this type of function we send the value from the main to the user defined function, but user defined function will not return any value back to the main. Here main will have control over the functions. The function will work on the values which are passed by the main. So let's implement this concept in the program. Again same program, we are considering addition of two numbers. So declare a function. In function declaration no need to mention the name of the variable, only we should specify the data type of the parameters. The second step is function definition. In this we write the actual code. First is the return data type. As this function is not returning any value to the main, the return data type is void. Then the name of the function and the parameters. So we are accepting two parameters, one is a and one is b. Both are integer data type. Now let's write the code. I am going to declare one variable sum so that I can store the addition of two numbers. So a plus b. Now as we are not returning any value to the main, we should print the result here itself. So using printf statement I have printed the result. Now the third step is to call the function. In this type of function we are sending the values from the main to the user defined function. So let's declare the two variables, and at the time of declaration I am initializing also. So a is equals to 10 comma b is equals to 20. Now let's call this function. To call the function we should write the name and the parameters what we are sending. So we are sending here a and b followed by semicolon. This is function definition and this is function call. So save the file, click on build and run. You can see here we are getting the same output. So in this video we learned about one more type of function. Hi, welcome back to the module functions. In this module I will be covering the fourth type of function, that is the function with parameters and with return value. In this type of function we are sending values from the main to the user defined function, and the user defined function after calculating returning back the values to the main function. So let's implement this concept in the program. Here you can see from the main we are passing the parameter to the user defined function. So it is taking two integers value. We will calculate the result and again we will return back the value to the main using return statement. The first step is to declare the function. So we will mention the return data type as it is returning the integer data type. I have mentioned integer followed by the name of the function and the parameter list. Here it is not necessary to write the name of the variables. Only we should mention the data types. The next step is the function definition where we write the actual code. Again the syntax is same. We should mention the return data type followed by the name of the function and the parameters with the name of the variables. So integer a comma integer b. This function is accepting two values. Now let's write the actual code. As we are getting the values from the main, no need to initialize any values in the user defined function. Directly we will calculate the sum. So for that I should declare this sum variable. As this sum is a local variable, we should declare inside the function. Now let me add these two variables and save the result in the sum. After calculation we are returning back the value to the main function. That's why I am not printing here the result. I am using return statement to return the value to the main function. So return followed by the name of the variable in the bracket. Don't forget to write the semicolon. As we are sending values from the main, let me initialize the values. So let me declare the necessary variables. Integer a is equals to 10. Then I am initializing 20 to b. Then we should call this function. The variable a and b we are going to send to the user defined function. Now in this case, as we are returning value from the user defined function to the main, we should accept that value in some variable. So let me use the result variable. It is also of integer data type, so I will declare this as an integer data type. Actually we got here a plus b 30. Now we should print it. Using printf statement I am going to print the result here and we are getting the answer in the res variable. So that's why I am writing here res. We cannot write sum here because sum is a local variable and we cannot access sum in main. That's why I had declared one more variable and I saved the value which we got from the user defined function. Now save the file, click on build and run to check the output. You can see here we are getting the same output. So in this way we saw how this fourth type of function work, how we can send the values from the main function to the user defined function and how to take back the value from the user defined function to the main. In this type of function, main has control over the user defined function and we are getting the values back so that we can proceed with the value if we want to do some calculation further. In the next video, we will be practicing more program based on the concept of functions. So keep learning, keep coding. See you in the next video.